Americans. But that's not the end of the story.
Here I should mention that Test Ban Treaty said that in 10 years we could discuss resuming peaceful explosions. This is a good idea. We should consider it.
I just feel that weight of the human conceit of thinking that human beings are entitled to create elements that have not been in the ecosystem before, like plutonium, and then say it's business as usual. I just did it because it was Tuesday and was very convenient. That the enormous burden, moral burden, and ethical burden of this seem to be so unrecognized.
I look at plowshare as something that will be re-established if and only if the present anti-scientific trend, the present trend to be afraid of anything that is new, if that can be brought to an end.
Well, there it is. Showing its age a little bit, but pretty much the same.
Peaceful nuclear explosions and geographical engineering may never return, at least in the form that Edward Teller first proposed them. But the issues that were raised remain and are reborn in the debate about new technologies, like biological engineering.
So there was a lesson that is exemplified, really, by the history of the whole atomic era that we haven't learned. And it may turn out to be even more dangerous than the threat of a nuclear catastrophe. This would be a biological one.
It is a question of responsibility to the biosphere. If not taken individually and collectively, nature comes back, and it does. We see it does.
Forum Barcelona 2004 in 46 days.
Most predators, to some extent, plan who their victim is. They select people who fit into either their fantasies or their assessment of whether or not they can take control of someone. Now, if, for example, they see a woman who appears to be vulnerable, then that is a fact that they take into account when they attack them. I've always been interested in how people think, how their minds, how their emotions work, and I've helped the police in psychologically profiling well over 100 different cases. It doesn't really matter who you are. Whatever you do leaves some trace of your psychological functioning behind. This is a signature in a sense. People do things in slightly different ways. The things that they do tend to be a consequence of who they are, of their upbringing, of the genes that they bring into the world. I think the extent of the information that you can or can't deduce depends entirely on the richness of the information that comes to you from the crime itself. If people who I would classify as being evil but most of the people responsible for all of the terrible offences that we see are people who are themselves damaged. They have been exposed through parenting and through early peer relationships and through school to inappropriate upbringing, and that has twisted the branch that has grown into their tree. You never entirely escape the suffering of the victim. In order to do the task, it is necessary to psychologically reconstruct what it is that happened